Hey everyone, how's it going? It's that nerd Ryan here, and today we are going to be reviewing Jurassic World Dominion. Just saw it about 4 hours ago. I finished seeing it, and I don't get all the bad buzz on Rotten Tomatoes and stuff like that. I usually never look at reviews while I'm seeing the movie, but like I showed up a half an hour early and I got nothing to do. And I have a friend on Facebook who's very big into Jurassic Park. Like he actually flew down to Universal to watch it at City Walk and to go to Universal for it. And he shared their opinion, or Rotten Tomatoes opinion on it. And I don't get the negativity, honestly. I've been hyped up for this movie since Fallen Kingdom, and I've been excited when I'll go on the journey of this. When Fallen Kingdom ended, I go, okay, how are they going to make it where a handful of dinosaurs are running amok in the movie? I mean, it's easy for the government to handle situations like that. And then 2020 happened. And then I understood that no, we cannot handle any type of major issue at all. So it makes sense that the government cannot handle this at all. But yeah, so I mean, the concepts in this are amazing. And honestly, if you think about it, realistic. Because there are going to be people that want the dinosaurs to stay alive no matter how bad they're destroying the ecosystem. There would be people making reserves like the sanctuary, and there would be people using that to their advantage. There would be black market dealers. Everything that happened in this movie, if we were to have dinosaurs randomly pop up back on Earth, makes sense. And a lot of people were saying that doesn't, all the stuff that happens in this, it doesn't make sense, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, really, when you think about it, with what we've just been through the last 2.5 years, yes, that makes sense. And it's just like I really enjoyed the concepts. I do have some gripes with the movie. I will say that. We'll get into that when we get there. But I still thought it was a very enjoyable movie. And I do like having the dinosaurs off the island and incorporate it into the real world because we get very fun scenarios in that. There's a part, I mean, obviously spoilers in this movie. This isn't really, or in this review, this isn't really a spoiler, but there's a part at the end where two characters see a little girl feeding a baby dinosaur or like a tiny dinosaur on the sidewalk. And I mean, like, yeah, that would happen in the real world, and that's enjoyable to see. And then this was in the trailers. You get the whole bike chase with the Atrociraptors. That was cool to see because you don't really get to see in the entire franchise dinosaurs running around in a metropolis, or not a metropolis, but like a big city. Besides the T-Rex running around in Jurassic Park Lost World, I mean, you get to see these dinosaurs as weapons and stuff like that. And then you get like just really interesting scenes at the sanctuary, which we got to see Dimetrodons, or I can't pronounce them. I don't believe any of my theories in my last minute theory video were correct, but I thought I was almost right with the when they showed the Dimortodon, because they show the fin. It's like, oh, it's the Spinosaurus, but nope, it wasn't. Actually, it took me like 10 seconds to go, oh wait, no, it's the Dimortodon, because I played Jurassic World Live, so I'm very familiar with a Dimortodon. But yeah, and it was a good story too. It was kind of original, kind of a callback to Jurassic Park 3, but it was how it was executed was very original. So we are going to go through the plot now. So from here on out, spoilers, I'm going to give you guys 10 seconds and then we will get into spoilers. While I'm doing this, make sure you guys subscribe, please. I've looked at analytics, and I believe it's 98.5% of you are watching my videos and not subscribing. And it would really help me out a lot if you guys subscribe. Also, make sure if you ring that bell, you can get all my videos. I usually try to post 2 a day. I've noticed that like my viewership has jumped up to 17K. The last 48 days or 28 days. I mean, it's really cool that this is picking up and everything, guys, but I would really, really enjoy it if you also subscribe. That would mean the world to me. Now let's talk about spoilers. So, the movie starts out showing dinosaurs integrated into society, which caught me off guard because I remember somebody saying that the 5 minutes of Jurassic World that they showed at the beginning of Fast and Furious was supposed to be the first 5 minutes of this movie. We do not see that throughout the entire movie. That is one of my gripes because, one, I didn't get to watch a good quality version of it. And 2, I remember it setting up the Giganotosaurus to be like the rival of the T-Rex, which we'll get about the Giganotosaurus later because that is another gripe of mine. That and the Atrociraptors are my 2 gripes. We'll get to that. But yeah, so anyways, it's showing the first scene is the Mosasaurus going up to steal a thing of crabs and overturning a boat. And then it shows some of the stuff that we see in that website that showed up a few weeks ago that was a promotional website for the movie. And it's kind of narrating what's going on and everything, and how Biosyn, which the head guy is I had to look it up because I couldn't remember his name, is Dodson from the first movie, I believe. Could be wrong. It's not the same actor, I know that for sure, but I think it's supposed to be the same guy. But yeah, and it shows that they made a sanctuary and everything, and they're using it for pharmaceuticals and all this research to help humanity through everything, and yada yada yada. You could tell it's obviously a bad company that's being under the guise of a good company sort of thing. So yeah, you get to see that, and then it cuts to Claire and company stealing a baby Triceratops from an illegal breeding zone and calling in an anonymous tip to turn in the illegal breeding area to get the rest. The reason why they saved the baby Triceratops was because it was dying, and they said that the people wouldn't get there in time for it to survive. So yeah, and at that, Franklin quits, and so does Daniela Pandia's character. I can't remember her name right now, but yeah, they both quit. That's the last we see of Daniela Pandia's character. Franklin kind of plays a big role later on. Oh, kind of big role. And then we get to see what Owen's doing, and he's wrangling up dinosaurs. At this, it's the Parasilla. You know what I'm talking about. I feel like that scene in Jurassic World, the one with the horn and the duckbill front. They're catching that and everything. And then we see that they're living kind of off the grid in a cabin. It's probably the cabin that Owen built in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. And Maisie travels off, goes to the village. We hear Blue in the distance when that happens. And she helps them get rid of some Apatosauruses that were stuck in the village and everything, and then goes back. And we find out that basically everybody's trying to look for Maisie because of reasons, because she is a clone. I will get to the reasons later because that's a big part of the story. And we finally see Blue with Beta, um, and we get introduced to we have Maisie get introduced to Beta and Blue, where Owen shows up and everything. And this is something I picked up at the end of the movie, that I'm not sure if it was really like a big pickup, but Maisie imprinted on Beta at that point. So anyways, poachers come, they get Maisie, and they get Beta, and that brings to the crux of the story of what's going on. And it's that Owen has to save Beta and Maisie, Owen and Claire, and get them back. Turns out Franklin was working for the CIA, so he gives information on how to find them. They go to Malta and meet up with Barry from Jurassic World to try to figure out where they're going. In that, they meet a smuggler named Kayla, and then we get the Atrociraptor chase scene, and we get to see like a dino fight club, and the poacher gets eaten. This is one of the few deaths in the movie. There's not a lot of deaths in this movie. Now let's talk about my gripe with the Atrociraptors really quick. This really isn't like a big thing, so I'm not going to hold it against this movie. It's just the Star Wars fan in me. So on the toys, on advertising, everything, these Atrociraptors were given names. It made it sound like it was the Raptor Squad 2.0 and everything. They get zero development in the movie except for saying that they were kind of programmed like the Indoraptor. And that's the only thing we get. So it's like, you wait. This is my main crux with like the entire movie is the advertising. So Fallen Kingdom revealed too much in its advertising. This didn't reveal a lot, which is good, but it over-revealed things that didn't show in the movie. So it kind of feels weird, like, okay, why are you saying, oh, this one's called Panthera, this one's called Ghost, this one's called Red, this one's called Tigera, and not give it anything? Because it's like, okay, cool, these are cool new Atrociraptors that we get to see for like 10 minutes, and they're probably all dead at the end of it. Because it doesn't even, like, we know one died for sure, one might have got knocked out, and then the other two kind of just disappeared. So it's like, okay, what's with giving them names and stuff like that? But I mean, the chase scene's very cool. Seeing the Allosaurus and the Carnotaurus is very cool. Seeing all the baby dinosaurs that they're using to fight are very cool. The young adult Baryonyx, or not Baryonyx, Carnotaurus. No, Baryonyx. There was a baby Carnotaurus. I'm trying to remember everything. But yeah, that was cool to see. And then yeah, they team up with Kayla and find a way to get to the sanctuary through flying in. They're then attacked by, I'm not even going to attempt to say the name of this thing. And the plane crashes. Claire gets separated because there's only one ejector seat with one parachute. So she gets separated from Kayla and Owen, where she meets the big herbivore that's got the claws, Therizinosaurus, I think it's called, where she has to get away from it because it's very aggressive. I think it's territorial is what it is. But yeah, and then Owen and Kayla get stuck in a snowy area where there's a Pyroraptor. And that scene, we get to see it in the trailer. It's pretty cool, but I mean, you basically get to see it all in the trailer except for the end where they kind of just like get locked away from it and tase it, and that's about it. So yeah, they go to start finding Claire. They find where her seat landed. Oh, also I forgot to mention the whole original character line. We'll do that at the after we talk about the Owen and Claire story. We'll get to the other half of the story and the Maisie story. Maisie story kind of glues the two together. So we'll talk about that last, but we'll talk about the main characters, or I mean the original characters after we talk about the new characters. So, anyways, they find Claire, but we get to see the T-Rex and the Giganotosaurus for the first time, where the Giganotosaurus kind of kicks the T-Rex away and is kind of like, oh, it's my territory, sort of thing. And then they find Claire at this outpost. We get to see that in a Lego set. Now that we're caught up there, now we have to explain the legacy character's story, just to catch up, because they finally converge after all of that. So basically, Ian Malcolm is working in Biosyn to kind of infiltrate it, and we see that locusts are attacking crops, but they're not attacking Biosyn crops. So Biosyn's trying to get a monopoly on food, along with other things. So Ellie Sattler looks into the locusts, then recruits Alan Grant to go to the sanctuary. They go there. Ian kind of tells them what to do. They break in, they steal a locust sample, and then they meet up with Maisie, which we'll get to that part after we get to the tower. And Ian gets fired because they figure it out. Alan and Ellie and Maisie are trapped in a Dimorphodon cave, or not Dimorphodon, Dimetrodon cave, where they meet back up with Ian, and then they drive off, and then they end up in the tower. Now let's talk about Maisie's story really quick till we get to the tower, then we'll wrap everything up. So, Maisie is captured. She gets sent to Sanctuary. We find out that her mother, the person she was cloned after, is actually her mother. Not her grandpa didn't clone her. Her mother cloned herself and impregnated herself because she wanted a kid so bad. Then when Maisie was born, she found out that she had a genetic disease, so she rewrote Maisie's DNA so she wouldn't be able to get that disease, which in my opinion that makes Maisie not a clone. I mean, she'll look exactly like her mother, but she doesn't have the same DNA. So in my opinion, that doesn't make her a clone. But anyway, so, and the reason why they captured Beta is because Blue had a certain type of frog DNA where the frog can reproduce on its own if there's no other mates around. So Beta is a perfect genetic copy of Blue. So Henry Wu wanted to basically compare their DNA so he can create a locust with a disease in it to basically snuff out the rest of the locusts and save the world. So Henry Wu is actually kind of being a good guy in this. And Macy gets loose while he's arguing with Dodson, and he meets up with Alan and Ellie, finds out that Ellie met her mother and got to find out what her mother's like and everything, and yada yada yada. Then they meet up in the tower. This is when the Giganotosaurus attacks them. Doesn't kill anybody, but it's a very intense scene. There's actually parts where I'm like, oh my god, Ian's gonna die. Oh my god, Ellie's gonna die. Oh my god, Alan's gonna die. Owen's gonna die. Claire's gonna... Like, there's a part where you think everybody's going to die, but none of them do. And then the Giga kind of runs away after they're kind of attacking it with small stuff, and also because the place is now on fire due to locusts getting unleashed that were lit on fire. So all the dinosaurs are headed to the middle of Sanctuary in a safe space. When that happens, the crew just figures out that they need to kind of close the air dome so that way they can leave safely and also not let the locusts leave. So Ellie and Claire go off and do that, while Owen, Maisie, and Alan Grant go off to get Beta. All of them are successful in this. This is where we find out that Maisie kind of imprinted, or Beta imprinted on Maisie. So they get her, and then they get back to can't think right now. They get back to the main section in Sanctuary, where they are trying to leave because Kayla went and got a new plane. When that happens, the Giganotosaurus shows up again to fight the T-Rex. It beats the crap out of the T-Rex. Then the Therizinosaurus shows up. Rexy gets back up and literally impales the Giganotosaurus onto the Therizinosaurus. Now let's talk about my gripe about the Giganotosaurus. I understand the opening being cut takes away a lot of the context between those two. And also them advertising that the Giganotosaurus was supposed to be the Joker of the franchise. Now, when they said it's supposed to be the Joker of the franchise, I didn't think of it being like, oh, it's gonna go and be like, you know what, Rexy? You know what you get when you cross a dinosaur that's been bullied its entire life? You get what you deserve! I didn't expect the Giganotosaurus to lose it like that. What I took it as is, if you look at Rexy as Batman, the Giganotosaurus is the Joker. And that's what I think people misunderstood there, because, I mean, there's the meme of Giganotosaurus going like this and stuff. I honestly, it meant that it's supposed to be the big rival to the T-Rex. And that also was my big issue with it, is them advertising it. One, I feel like how the franchise is, it should have been the Spinosaurus. Just because there is a rivalry between these two in the franchise. And people have been wanting to see Rexy take on the Spino. I think we're going to get it in Camp Cretaceous, but that's besides the point. But they don't advertise, they barely show the two together. I mean, yes, they get into the argument of whose territory it is, and then there's the fight that lasts like 3 minutes, but it doesn't really advertise that the Giganotosaurus is the arch rival of the T-Rex, which is why I think they should have put the Spinosaurus there instead. Mind you, I think the Giga looks really cool, and it's humongous and everything, but it's like you set it up as this arch rival when you already had an arch rival. Okay, so that's my only other gripe for this movie. And then so it shows like, okay, now Ellie Sattler and Alan Grant are going to go and testify against Biosyn. Dodson dies by Dilophosaurus, by the way. I just wanted to say that. So there's like 3 deaths in this film. Well, some minor side character or background characters get killed by the Allosaurus and Carnotaurus. But there's like 2 or 3 main like speaking line character deaths in this movie. Which is small for a finale. Anyway, so then Beta's returned to Blue, and basically everybody lives happily ever after, which I thought was a great way to end the movie. And yeah, so I'm going to give this movie a 8 out of 10. Like I said, I only got the 3 gripes with it. 2 of them are things that I can't really complain about, because it was outside sources that messed with it. But still, those were gripes that I had. I mean, I wasn't expecting, like, Blue, Delta, Echo, and Charlie level Raptor Squad for the Raptors, but still, you advertise it like they're the Raptor Squad 2.0, and you barely use them. And then all the stuff about the Giga. But yeah, so make sure you guys leave a like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell, and follow me on all my social media down below. It's that Nerd Ryan telling you, have an amazing day.